Have you ever heard a story that makes you stop mid-scroll? Like you're scrolling on social media, but you just come across the story, but you just had to stop and listen through. Because this particular man's story was that kind of story that if it were in the movies, it would have ended in tragedy, but it didn't. Because this is real life. So let me tell you about Robert Downey Jr., okay? Let me tell you about him. So Robert started acting from the age of 5, literally, like that young. His father was a filmmaker. His dad was a filmmaker, and because of that, he was exposed to cameras and the whole chaos. You know how the entertainment industry is. He was exposed to that from that early age. But that's not even the thing. The wild part is that his father introduced him to drugs. From the age of 8, he was already taking drugs. I'm like, what? How is that even possible? I mean, according to where I read the story from, it's like, I'm like, how is that even possible? How can a parent introduce their child to something that would harm them that young? It's not even. Anyway, just stay with me, okay? And for years, that was just normal to him. That became normal, like taking drugs. He would be acting during the day and getting high at night. You know, that was how his childhood just took off, and no one actually hits the brake for him. And that's really crazy. I mean, I understand that if it was your dad that introduced you to something like that, that would be normal for you. That's literally like, it's going to be like your way of life, unless someone tells you otherwise. Even sometimes you're even going to argue with the person if someone even comes up to tell you, and that's not the way. You'll be like, this is normal for us. Something you won't argue with the person. Like, that's exactly how this was. So now fast forward to his 20s. He was in all the indie movies. You know, everybody wanted to work with him, and you know, he had the skills, the charisma, the smile. Like, people started calling him the next big thing. You know, he was that good. But one thing, that addiction never left. He was still addicted to drugs. For a while, he was that guy. Everybody wanted him until something happened. You know what? He would show up late, or sometimes not at all. He's always high. He'll be high on set. Imagine when you're working with an actor and he's always high. He goes in and out of jail, like for sometime in 1996, I think. He broke into a neighbor's house and just passed out on their bed. Like, wild, right? Imagine the kind of life this young man was living as at the time. It's crazy. They sent him to jail, and then rehab, and then jail again, because every time he comes out, he would do a comeback movie, you know, that he's back and all that, but he would spiral back again. So it became like a pattern, and it kept happening until people stopped wanting to work with him. I can't lie, there were moments where it felt like even he himself gave up on himself. Because imagine, you know you're talented, you're that good, but you see yourself trapped in a loop. You want to quit, you want to get out, you want to get your life back on track, but you just somehow fall back in. That's what addiction does to you. You're just stuck in that loop. It keeps happening. He'll do his comeback, he'll spiral again and all that. It's crazy. Studios blacklisted him. People stop picking his calls or even answering him when he calls. You know, if it was like a typical Hollywood movie, it would have ended there, like tragic how the downfall of a famous actor or something like that. They will give it a name and, just act it. The characters will just portray the whole thing and it will just end there. But it didn't. But something shifted. I don't even know if it was just one moment or a year of pain catching up, but he decided to fight for himself. He decided to pick himself up. He got clean. He started walking again. He took on roles that nobody else wanted. He started small, taking baby steps like that. That's what he did. And then Marvel reached out to him. Marvel wanted him. And mind you, back then, Iron Man wasn't that huge. It wasn't a big deal like Spider-Man or Batman. And the thing is, at first, they didn't even want to cast him. Looking at his track record and everything, nobody wanted to work with him. But they thought it was, at first they thought it was too risky, too much baggage. Like, how would they be able to work with this kind of person? It was like a gamble for them. Too risky, too much baggage. But the director, Jon Favreau, at the time said something like, Downey is Tony Stark. Both of them are brilliant, deeply flawed, and trying to redeem themselves. So he wanted to give them a chance. And so they did. So Marvel gave them a shot, right? Small salary, all eyes watching, because you already have a track record. Of course, everybody's supposed to be watching to see when you're going to slip up or something. And then, boom, Iron Man changed everything. He made over $500 million at the time. And it changed the game for them. And suddenly, the guy no one wanted to work with, nobody was answering his call or even calling him to do anything for them, became the face of the whole Marvel industry. Crazy, right? It's like in the movies, from cell to red carpet, something like that. From from jails to red carpets. Crazy stuff. Sometimes I wonder, what if Marvel never gave him a chance? Or what if he had a relapse back then when our eyes were watching? What if? Just what if? What if no one gave him a second chance? And also, what would I have done if I was in that situation? If something similar, happened to me, or just happens, right? How would I handle that situation? What would I have done? Would I have believed in myself after going through all that? After all that roller coaster? I don't know. But one thing I do know is that his history just shows how unpredictable life is. Life is so unpredictable. You never know what would happen next. You are never really finished. The script could just flip at any second. Some things can just shift. Like your life could just change in just a split second like that. I don't know. What do you think? Let me hear your thoughts on the comment section. All right? What do you think?